Hi, everybody. Today on Lead with Love, we're going to talk about self-publishing, and we're going to talk about world hotspots. And I think it seems like a non sequitur, but both of those are very, very important, especially when it comes time to um, talk about this with your family and that type of area during the Christmas holidays. And by the way, Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a Happy New Year. I probably will be broadcasting somewhere along the line, but please, please, please have a safe holiday season and enjoy the family. I think that's really important. So lead with love. Okay, so the two things we're going to talk about today are self-publishing and hotspots around the world. And I think the self-publishing aspect is going to be a two-parter. This is going to be just an intro on different aspects of it and different ways to perform it. And a lot of people might say, what are you talking about self-publishing for, Chris? Well, since the year 2000, um, literally since 2000, 2001, somewhere along there, I've been contemplating about writing a book. And then around 2009, 2010, I started to actually, well, actually, it was before that. It was 2000, like 3 or 4. Wrote a book, did some self-publishing, went to a self-publisher, did that, really enjoyed it, went to another self-publisher. And the self-publisher I use now is a self-publisher called Lulu. And so far, Lulu has done pretty well. And you can get to the site, and we're actually going to go to the site and do other things with it in the next show or the next couple of shows. But basically, what you want is Uh, I'll tell you what. Let's go through the actual presentation, and then we'll go from there. So we're gonna go from that. And I think that the important part is self-publishing for me, right? There are people telling you not to do it, like don't do that. That's vanity publishing. Um, you know, and should I just try to do it a conventional publishing route, right? And how hard is it to get the story published? When we talk about those types of things, what effort does it take to be able to make that stuff happen? And I think this is extremely important for people that are out there that are thinking, I'm going to go, I'm going to be the next J.K. Rowling. I'm going to do, I'm going to be the next Lee Child. I'm going to be the next Robert Parker. I'm going to be the next, I'm going to be the next Margaret Mitchell. I'm going to do this fantastic, novel that's going to be so fantastic and whatever else. And I'm going to tell you that that's a great goal and it's something to pursue. But let me tell you how I did it and how self-publishing can in fact help you in kind of a marketing aspect. And I think that's important. So it's, the first thing we talk about is self-publishing hard? Well, you got to write first, and then, it's important to know what you're going to write. Are you going to write a book? You're going to write a journal? What are you going to do to be able to make that happen and be able to do the things you need to do to be able to try to get it for free? You want to be able to publish it through a website, usually for free. If it's not for free, it's going to be like a small cost. Like to publish an ebook on Lulu, I think is like $4.99. But that's okay. It used to be free, but Lulu, they got to make money too, right? They have a service there. And even after you self-publish, you can self-publish on Lulu and sell on their bookstore, and you do not have to pay 1 cent to have that done. Not one, to publish on their bookstore. Now, if you publish globally, you got to get a proof copy, and you got to get a proof copy. It all depends. Proof copies have cost me like $8, $10. You know, that's not that bad, and it's just you have to, but you have to, once you write the book and you proof the book, copy edit and whatever else, you got to find a venue to publish, right? Plenty of companies out there that are willing to publish your book for a fee. It's not for free, it's for a fee. Now, the minute that you get a letter that says, congratulations, you've been selected, oh, we took a look at your manuscript and we love your manuscript and we want to publish you. And you need to ask them the question, how much is this going to cost me, right? And a lot of times what they'll do is, oh, it won't cost you a cent. No, no problem. Publish it for free. We'll even give you a dollar. We'll give you a dollar royalty. We'll give you a dollar royalty. And I've been through that. I've been through this with a specific company. And man, I'll tell you, that was a heck of a way to get started in the publishing route. That was horrible. And what they do is they overcharge you for the books. They overcharge you for the shipping. They overcharge you for everything, and that's how they make money. That's how they do it. They publish quantity, right? And Lulu does the same thing. Let's be very clear here. But the author can buy books at the author's price, which is significantly lower than the price you set, because you set that price. They don't set the price, you set it. So I think that's pretty important there too. So it's very important to be able to understand what you're talking about and what the situation is when it comes down to writing, right? So you can do the conventional route to publishing. You get a few chapters, you prepare it, you write it, you do whatever you need to do. You get a cover letter, you get the submission approved, and then basically you're a go. Now, what happens with this? You get the publisher to read the submission. You get the submission approved, and you're a go at that point. Publisher will contact you. Hey, you got a great story. We'd like to go with this. This is what we're going to do. Blah, 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 all those other things you need to go along with that. Now, here's where the rub is, right? And this is incredibly important to understand, because unless you understand these numbers, are there successes in this endeavor, right? So yeah, there are. Few things you have to understand that are necessary in order to be a success in this endeavor. First of all, you have to be a celebrity. If you're a celebrity and you're out there, you're famous, there are celebrities that can't even write their name, that write books. In fact, one celebrity I remember wrote a book, and she wrote the book, and the broadcasters that were broadcasting and getting her on to talk about the book, some of them on the side were saying, has she ever read a book? I mean, that's the type of people that will get published because they're famous. They're celebrity. If you're a celebrity, there are celebrities out there writing children's books. I'm sitting back going, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. I've written plenty of children's books. I think they're good, but again, it's self-published. You got to get marketing. You got to market them. You got to be all the time, be out there marketing these things. So it's really, really difficult to do. I mean, you have to put yourself on the market. And then you have the influencers, that sit there and write these books. And you can see some of the influencers are going down the tubes, right? Current influencer that's going to jail for child abuse. I mean, all these things are just, they're having an issue, right? Because influencers basically are marketers. If you can go out to an influencer that has 1 million likes or 1 million, whatever you call it, and say, could you market my book? They're going to charge you for that. They'll market the book and you'll get out to 1 million people. Now, whether people are going to buy your book, I don't know. But basically, that's what's happening. You can go to LinkedIn, you can go to YouTube, you can go to all these different places like I'm going out to, and try to sell books. How many books are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a ton of books here. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, it's really interesting how you can, publish books. I published with Lulu. I published about 40 books. 45 books. So you have to be at the right place at the right time, right? Young publisher is more prone to take the risk on a new type of book, right? Look at the way J.K. Rowling did. She was sitting there. All of a sudden, they gave her, I can't remember what they gave her. She was sitting there writing this thing, and all of a sudden, bang! She got the offer. But or be a self-publisher that gets a following, right? Celebrity, influencer, all these types of things, they work. They do. I mean, it's the marketing aspect and social media, the marketing. So what are the chances? What are your chances of getting published? A real publisher, what they call a real publisher, but basically a publisher that's, very selective, right? So this is a lot of, I'm a probability guy, I'm a data guy, right? And so whoops, I just messed that up. So basically what happens is that, there we go. So we'll do it that way. So basically what happens is that, you can self-publish and you can get yourself a following, or you can just go through a regular publisher. If you do $10,000, 10,000 submissions per day, 10,000 submissions per day from I had a buddy of mine who worked in a major publishing house. I mean, the thing was just really, really big. 10,000 submissions per day. Per day. It's, the chances of you doing that. Now, this was at their height. Now, it may be less than that, but let's say it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 per day. You're still going to have to be that top, whatever it is, 10 or 15 of that 1,000, and be able to be picked up very quickly by, an editor who's going to sit there and say, okay, we're going to do that. you know so it's they're going to take the ones that make the money for them. That's the deal. That's what they're going to do. So you must have a book that's so spectacular it stands out, bang, like this, or it's something very it's something that has a genre that's very pertinent to today, like boom, right now. Okay, cool. You have that. Everyone thinks they have the great novel. Oh, I got the next great novel. I get the next great. I get the next great thriller, love story, whatever you want to call it. But it has to be something that gets attention now. It has to be something that grabs within 10 pages. 10 pages. You've got to be able to grab that editor's eye. If you don't grab that editor's eye, it's done. Or you can self-publish and test the waters, right? And get some experience in the process. Your call on this, whatever you want to do. I mean, that's definitely your call. So there's another way of getting this, and that is what you do is you hire what they call a publicist or a literary agent. And a literary agent, it can run you a few $1,000s, right? What they do is they sit back and they read your book, and then they will like coach you. Sit there and say, okay, look, it's going to cost you this many $1,000s. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the different publishing houses and I'm going to put your book before an editor. If I think it's good. If I think it's good. If I don't think it's good, then we're done. And sometimes what they'll do is, and I don't know how many actually do this, but there are some that do this, they will charge you just to read your book. And then when they're done and they say, nope, it's not happening, they've gotten their money and you're out your money, and now they may give you some insight or whatever to make the book better. But the bottom line is this, is that when you self-publish, you take charge of the book's content. You do as the author, not a publisher, not an editor. You do it. Now you can ship your book to an editor. I did. It's a place called Angels Editing, which is out in Spain, as a matter of fact. And they did a great job of copy editing. They did a fantastic job, and they were very, very economical. And all their suggestions were really good, and I included their suggestions in there. So you can get a copy editor yourself and do that yourself. And it's, again, it's all your call, however you want to do it, right? I mean, that's pretty important. So it's basically, this is a part one, but I wanted to give you just some insight on what's going on. It says, I will now take you through step-by-step approach, but I think what we'll do is we'll wait for that for another day and another program, and we'll go from that. We'll go from there. So I think that's pretty important. So I hope that this at least gave you an idea that, self-publishing is not easy. It's not an easy process. You're in charge of everything. Getting the book prepared. Now you can do that. Lulu says, hey, send us the book and we'll get it prepared and do whatever else. But it's going to cost you money, right? So I have done children's books. I have illustrated the children's books. I've written the children's books. Yes, it's, but it's, $150 to $200 per illustration, which would end up with a really, really beautiful, professional, very professional illustration. But is that really me? Is that really me? I don't know. So I just don't do it that way. And again, you can do it whatever way you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with hiring a professional and doing those things that you need to be done. That's not a problem, and it never has been a problem. So I'm really hoping that you don't think that this is something that's going to be very strange. Like, all of a sudden, oh wow, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. If you have uh, Word and you have a Adobe. Now, what I do is I use an old copy of Adobe Acrobat. I have an old copy of Adobe Acrobat, and it's great. It's fantastic because I can take the Word document, I can put it in a PDF, and then I can edit the PDF. Now, if you get Adobe, you got to get a subscription. And I own the old copy. It's fine with me. I update it whenever I need to do it. It's great. I love it. Adobe Acrobat, the old Adobe Acrobat. I can't remember what I think I have. 2010, something like that. But I don't care. That's fine. It works. That's all I wanted for is to be able to do it. And I can do forms and all that stuff. So yeah. I mean, if you have Word, and if you don't, if you sit there and say, "Well, Chris, I don't have Word," fine. Then don't get Word. Get yourself a free one. What's the one I have? Let's see. I'm trying to think what the one I have is. Let's see. I think it's called Office Libre. I think is the one I have, and that's a it's basically free Office, and it gives you all the same things as Office does. You have to just be careful. You have to make sure you put your virus scan on when you download it. Make sure there's no viruses on it, whatever else. But it's called freeware, and it's freeware because it's free. So that's what happens with that. So let's go to the second part of this thing, which is hotspots in the world, because I want to give you something a little bit different than just I think learn, offer, value, educate. It's all about learning and offering, right? So I'm going to tell you what I've learned, and then I'm going to offer it to you. So let's talk about the first hotspot. The first hotspot is located in Sudan. So remember, this is South Sudan right here. In 2013, South Sudan broke away from Sudan in 2012 and made its own country. And then there was all kind of issues in South Sudan. In Sudan, there's problems because you have the northeast side of Sudan. And basically what's happening is they're having a lot of rebel action. And in fact, what's happening is it's hitting it so hard that Khartoum, which is the capital, has already been hit, and they're hitting other cities as it goes along. And you notice where the cities are located, right along the river here, right? Right along the river. Well, of course it would be because you have a river, right? Water is life. So, all this is all desert area. So you have to understand that. So that's the first one. The second one is Ethiopia. And the reason Ethiopia is having a problem is Eritrea here, and Ethiopia wants one of their ports, and Eritrea is saying no. So that could very definitely be a hotspot in the future between Eritrea and Ethiopia. Also, Ethiopia, again in the northeast region, is having all kind of problems with rebel activity. So Ethiopia, Eritrea, northeast area, the Tigray, what they call the Tigray region, Tigray, that could be a definite problem. Now, I want to tell you the difference also in geography between the Red Sea. So this is the Red Sea. This is the Persian Gulf. You notice it's different. It's not the same. Not the same. Okay? Persian Gulf, what do we have here? This is Iran. Iran fires missiles at things in the Persian Gulf. Just likes to do that. Okay? So remember Kuwait, liberated 1990s? Yeah, okay. So we have that. The Red Sea is the one that's currently undergoing all kind of issues because it goes through the Suez Canal, which is right here, and goes up to the Mediterranean. Otherwise, and there are ships that are doing this now, ships have to go over, down, around, called the Cape of Good Hope, here, right? The Horn of Africa. The Horn of Africa is not Cape Horn. It's not Cape Horn. This is the Horn of Africa. And you notice you come from the Med through the Red Sea. There it is, the Gulf of Aden, out into what? Oh my goodness. What is this? This is the Arabian Sea. It's not the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean's over here. Okay, so this is where you have all kind of issues when you have geography. But anyways, all right. So that's enough of that. Now another area, another hotspot. Quickly, sorry, Nagorno-Karabakh. All right, Nagorno-Karabakh's in here. You have Armenia and Azerbaijan. They are still fighting. They are still. I mean, Nagorno-Karabakh has been shown the door to Armenia. Everybody from Nagorno-Karabakh, get out. This is Azerbaijan territory, which it really isn't. It's Armenian territory, but it's the type of thing it's called an oblast, which was done after the Soviet Union collapsed. So basically, what's happening is that people are all going to Armenia. We are having a refugee crisis in Armenia. Azerbaijan wants this out. Armenia is allied with who? Russia. Yeah, interesting, huh? Russia doesn't want to. In fact, Russia has troops in there to do peacekeeping. They're not doing anything. So why? Because they're trying to fight Ukraine. So there's Azerbaijan and Armenia. Problem, right? Yeah. Okay. Another hotspot, big time hotspot, is going to be right here. So you have Venezuela here. You have Guyana here. Venezuela, Guyana. Guyana has a ton of oil they just found. Northwest region. Venezuela says, nope, that's ours. That's our region. Guyana says, nope, that's ours. But we're going to do peaceful, negotiations and figure out what to do and all this stuff. I'm telling you right now, nope, hotspots. It's going to be a hotspot. Venezuela is going to build up their forces along this area, and then they're going to go in and they're going to take this area as their own. There was I was listening to a sermon the other day, and a guy said, wars start because of land. And I absolutely agree with that. Wars start because of land. I mean, yes, people want land. They want these areas. It's nutsy cuckoo, right? Remember, this is all Brazil here, right? So Guyana, right? So this is another hotspot. This is what's going to happen, and this is going to be a hotspot. Let's talk about another hotspot, which people don't recognize, but I'm going to tell you that this thing is going to blow up, and it's going to blow up real soon. And this is called Quebec. Quebec is part of Canada. It is part of Canada. The French have always wanted Canada. They've always wanted it, even during the Revolutionary War. They tried to make a play for Canada using the U.S. as an ally, after they helped us win the revolution, supposedly. So, I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. Lafayette was really good. He was really a good. Marquis de Lafayette was a good ally of America, and constantly questioned the French, the French's reason for doing things. You can read more in my book, Why the U.S. Needs to Reevaluate Its Relationship with the French. It's on lulu.com. It's a self-published book. It's also on Amazon. So basically what's happening is Quebec, I'm going to say Quebec and piss them off. Quebec basically has stated that every student, they have to have 80% of their students that go to any university in Quebec, and they have to be a certain level of French. They have to have a certain level of French. Now the Canadians are sitting saying horse poop on this. This is no, that should not be a requirement. But Quebec is saying yes, that is a requirement. So now they're fighting back and forth on that. This is a hotspot, folks. This has always been a hotspot. They had a referendum a while back. They wanted to split off. People in Quebec said no, and I'm going to tell you why they said no. They said no because what are they going to do about national health coverage? They're going to rely on the French because they've relied on the French for other things, such as fighting their wildfires. Their wildfires. The French came over and helped Quebec, not Alberta, not Ontario, not any of those, but Quebec. Why? Because there is an everlasting joint at the hip thing between this province in Canada and the French. So no matter how it looks from the standpoint of Quebec, it's definitely a French area, and it is going to be a hotspot in the future, undoubtedly. So again, these are all predictions based on those other areas. So that's pretty much it, and that's all I have for today. But I wanted to just cover that with you because I think it's pretty important to understand a lot more about the world. And I used to do it with the worldview and data show and all that stuff. But I think I'm going to just combine all this and use it with Lead with Love because it's things that I've learned, and then I'm going to try to share with you guys out in the audience. And and again, if there's any issues or whatever else, you can certainly contact me at candr@statisticssleuth.com. I'd be more than happy to answer it via email, or be more than happy to take it on as a subject in a future show. So this is Chris Greco, and I'm signing off and telling you I don't know if I'm going to have a show on Thursday, but if I do, I'll wish you a Merry Christmas then also. But please spend time with the family. Please love them. I think that's really, really important. Um, if you're going to have a discussion and it's going to roll around politics or geography or whatever else, you know, lay some ground rules on that. Basically that everyone's to be heard, and there's not to be any laughing during people. Unless people make it humorous. There's not be any laughing during their discussion or whatever else. Hear people out. Hear them out. You'd be surprised what you can learn if you just hear people out. And to tell the truth, a lot of people I think are getting upset because they're not being heard. Hear them. That's part of the deal. And I will tell you, have a great pre-holiday week, and we will see you guys probably not until after the new year. You take care of yourselves, and always lead with love, learn, offer, value, and educate.